How are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know, I never did tell you, but I'm so sorry about your brother-in-law.
Oh, thank you.
He was one of my favorites.
Oh, really? You knew him?
Yes. Oh, yeah. He stood up for me lots of times, you know, in like meetings and stuff, and comments that I would make, and they would say, no, that's not so. And he would speak up and say, no, she's right, you know, about block parties and things like that.
So did your neighbors ever move away, or are they still, you had bad neighbors across the street?
No. The one that back then that was having the block parties, he moved away. He's been gone like 10 years. But the one across the street that I have a protection order on, they finally took him out of there for a year. And usually that's unusual. But I had 2 protection orders on him 1 year after the other, and he broke both of them.
Wow.
He defies the law, judges, he didn't show up for court. I mean, and they told him not to go back to the place. He showed up there twice already. So I'm put down the times and it's on my cameras. So he's going to end up in jail. That's where he's going to end up. And one of the police officers is a witness to it. Of him being there when he's not supposed to. Officer Young, so. I don't know. So. Are you ready for all that hard work ahead of you?
Yeah. I don't have any idea what I'm in store for, but.
Yeah. Waited for about 5 minutes, went back in, and the machine ready to come over on me.
Well, you know, I do the mailing ballot. What I do is I get the ballot and then I walk it up and I hand deliver it to the people in the office. And then I make sure that they stamp it. I have a copy of it. They stamp my copy too. Make sure that it goes in, because last year I took it up there. They lost it. They lost the application for mail-in, and then they didn't send me the ballot. So I had to do that 3 times before I actually got a ballot to, and it was given like the Friday before the election. Yeah, there's something wrong.
Yeah, all that stuff. Totally transparent on this issue. You don't know what happens.
Absolutely.
Hi, Rick. Hi, Paul.
Howdy.
I don't know much about this, but I would go ahead and turn your mic off unless you want to be. You speak, you turn it on, because they do record these. And
Is it on?
turn red, it's off.
Oh,
They do record these and people
it's
have,
turned red, it's off.
yeah. See, yeah, that one's green.
Yeah.
They do record these. and
Oh, we get to
there
scare
have been some
ourselves.
requests.
But we're not on TV.
I was. Oh. It's being, when
That's
they
not-
get the recording, it's.
Well, if we have a calm meeting, that would be okay to have.
Mind your manners.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't here the last two times. So we're gonna get some cold weather.
Yeah,
I hope we get a little bit of warm weather back, because I'm not done with my yard. Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, Marcia, how you doing?
Okay.
So skewed. 22,000. All of them in the hundreds.
Interesting. I'm glad to see my play. But Tony, one of those first draw, you know, that everything they could throw at you, but keep that seed. That was their A game.
I didn't see very many.
Oh, hi, how are you? Pretty good.
Good morning, sir.
Say good morning.
Morning, someone.
It could be.
little representative, I've got you. Or I don't have this. Thank you. Congratulations on your big win.
Thank you.
Wait. Discussion.
Where are you wanting to start? Give an outline.
Where to start? I mean, when in the meeting, or you mean?
No, and the.
Well, it's just this, I would think if you would just like. Maybe go through it with people, that's if Irene's. Late, like she said she's. Just walk through it, what we talked about.
Doesn't have to take care of it. Awesome.
Hi, Chief. Good, how are you? Hi, David.
Hey, what's going on?
Watch. How are you, sir?
Hey,
Good
Marcia.
to see you. Good to see you.
How you doing?
Holding up, I'm doing good.
You doing? Good. Thanks. I got another meeting at 4:30 on personnel issues.
Well, then, can we start with you talking about the bias training for December? We'll start with that then. Is that gonna be, gonna need a longer meeting for that?
We can do this in the house. I can give you guys a quick update on my meeting last night too.
Well, it probably works out because Irene's gonna be late and she's supposed to start the discussion on plans and. We can do it here. Just do it here.
They can just.
No, I know what it is. All right.
Right.
Are all of your leaders on the same day or different day or?
They're all gonna be on the regular date of this meeting, except in the evening, so it's 6 instead of 4. That's the plan at this point, anyway.
They're all gonna be at 6 instead.
The 4 meetings that are gonna be out in the community will be at 6, yeah. Mhm. I think that's on the, way off. So, no. All the others. So the ones that are in bold, except for November 8th, February, April, well, June should be bold. So February, April, June, and August will be out in the community at 6 o'clock. That's what we're proposing. And then the alternating months will be here at 4 at a regular time.
Where are they gonna be in the community? Wherever. they-
We're looking at like community centers and churches, that sort of thing. Yeah. We haven't gotten that far to name them yet.
The dates here on the 5th floor are for what? To discuss.
Yeah, it'd be our regular meeting here. And yeah, and we will, analyze what we heard and talk about that, and also hear our regular reports from the sheriff and the chief. So, yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Journalism and activism, that burden is even greater. So how can you maintain journalistic objectivity?
The same way white reporters do.
Except do they? Whites are normalized to be the objective neutral doesn't mean that they actually are
iPhone 11,
journalistic.
can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. We're gonna give another couple of minutes here for other folks to arrive. See if we have any other folks show up. Irene has said she's gonna be late. I think she's gonna be on Zoom. I don't know if anybody knows of anybody else who's coming late. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Wow, that was loud. Welcome to the Law Enforcement Advisory Board meeting for November. Thank you all for coming. We're going to do a quick round of introductions, both those here and who are on Zoom. We like to know who's in the room, so I'll start. I'm Rick Behrens. I'm the chair of the Law Enforcement Advisory Board appointed by Mayor Garner. Let's go this way around. Make sure your mic is showing green when you talk.
Marcia Ralph, neighbor watch leader.
Reed Partridge, Legislative Auditor's Office.
Lynn Melton, appointed by Tom Burrows.
David Patton, appointed by Gail Townsend.
Nikki Richardson, appointed by Andrew Davis, Commissioner Davis, District 8.
Brian Burgess, at Argentine Unified Government Arts Governance Council.
Wayne Beth, appointed by Sheriff Soptic.
Paul Soptic, appointed by Commissioner Johnson.
Oakland Police Chief.
And if you would, on those of you who are on Zoom, let's start with Kendall
Kendall McReynolds, appointed by Commissioner Markley.
and Laurent. Pastor
LaRon Thompson, appointed by Commissioner Bynum.
and Marcus
I'm Marcus Wynn, member of the community.
and Lucas.
Lucas Behrens, also a member of the community.
I know you from somewhere, Lucas, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And iPhone 11, who might you be?
I am Khadijah Hardaway with Justice for Wyandotte.
Hi, Khadijah. Welcome, everybody. Glad you're all here. The agenda is going to be slightly adjusted today as Chief Oakland needs to leave by, I don't know, sometime by 4:30. So I'm going to move him up in the agenda to talk to us about our bias training that we're going to do in December. That's one of the requirements of our ordinance or statute, is that we are familiar with bias training. And the chief is going to lead us in that in December. And I'm just going to let you go ahead and talk about that, Chief, and then any other things you want to update us on before you have to go.
Yeah. I think we scheduled this out a couple months ago. It'll be December 14th. It's usually a couple hours. Usually it's a 4-hour block, but it can go anywhere from an hour to 4, but we'll do an hour version on it. And it's basically a overview of the training that law enforcement receives regarding biases, particularly implicit bias. And there is a civilian version of it. So you'll be getting a version of that training on the 14th. So.
And you think we can do it within an hour, our regular
Yeah,
time?
we can adjust it to where it'll work within an hour.
That be here.
Yes, we can do it here. Yeah, yep. And
I just did this with my department. Is that something that I need to come back to?
I think in my opinion, I think it'd be good because we'll have a shared conversation then about whatever we received here that may or may not be different than what you received, David. And this is be in place of our regular meeting, December 14th. It's in place of our regular meeting. So it's not like not asking you to come to an extra meeting.
Yeah. And it'll be a little different than what you
police
receive.
training.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yep. Okay. Other point is just give you an update. I don't know if you saw the news. We had an officer involved shooting last night. Just real quick, officer was in the area 27th and Wood investigating a stolen auto. As the officer was walking up, he located the stolen auto unoccupied as the officer was walking up. He noticed another suspicious vehicle, an individual that was in a car, had a gun, and then what appeared to be drug paraphernalia, basically a methamphetamine pipe. He appeared to be passed out with the gun there. The officer then requested more officers before he would engage the subject. One, not knowing if he's injured, passed out, or what. So at that point, more officers came and they used a ballistic shield so they could safely go up and try to wake this individual up. As they reach the vehicle, and Vigil gets up, opens the door, and he then grabs the gun and fires several times at the officers. The officers retreat, return fire. He then continues to fire at the officers, further retreat, then they return fire, and end up killing the individual. So it's being investigated by outside agency, KCMO, and the DA in the Wyandotte County DA's office. And it was all video cam and video body cam. So ongoing investigation. So once we're done with the investigation, more information will come out.
Anybody have any questions on that? Comments?
Yeah, I do have a quick question for the chief. Prior to engagement with this individual, should there have been two officers present before he even began investigating?
Well, I'm not, like I said, this is under investigation. I'm kind of just giving you the information. I can't really go into details, but if you listen to he was by himself. So before he even made contact, he requested more officers. And when more officers came, they then got the ballistic shields so they could safely approach the vehicle.
Okay, so he didn't approach the vehicle prior to backup arriving?
No.
Okay.
Nikki, did you have something?
Well, I know that we have a resident from that area here in the room. I got connected with her early this morning and she wanted to speak with someone because this isn't her first time, expressing grievances about the issues in the community. And she wanted to be able to speak to people in power. And so since we had the meeting today, I invited her here and she may have some questions or concerns.
Would you like to come to this microphone here and share?
And you do have a raised hand, Pastor.
Yeah, we will get to you, Khadijah, right after this.
How are you?
Fine. Would you tell us your name and?
Emily
Where you live?
Singleton, and we live on 26th and Wood. Actual visual distance, you can see, all the commotion. My question is, when you have residents, are you the one I need to be addressing, or is it like, I have no idea.
If you could just ask your question generally,
When
then.
you have residents who beg for help, who try to get help, who tell you what's going on, who let you know what needs to be fixed in the community, and there is absolutely nothing done and no regard for it, what do you do? Like, what are we supposed to do? Because not only do I feel not safe and protected by the people who are supposed to do that, but I feel violated. I feel very violated for everything that we have been through and let down. So what do you tell your people who need answers except for write an email, send a letter? Because that doesn't get anywhere. Face to face gets where, you know what I mean? Because there was an incident the night before at 7 p.m. where my husband was outside working on the car. There were 30 rounds let off on the corner in front of New Chelsea. We have any answers for that? We have video for that? Did anybody go to the school and get it like I asked and requested? There is not a block within where there are not children running everywhere. Our future. But if they all get knocked off because there's no protection, then what future do we have? Not one. So who's to answer our questions?
The night that the 30 rounds was fired off, did anyone call the?
Yes, we
police to make
did.
a
I
police
sat on
report?
hold for quite a while because there was multiple calls.
You made a police report.
2 of them showed up. No, they didn't. They just asked what happened. And he told them exactly what happened. And they picked up some shells, they left some shells. I mean, still there. Kids walk there, right there all the time. But hey, there's a bullet shell. I mean, one little girl picked up a pipe laying there and tried to hit another kid. I had to stop that. I mean, it's out of control. But yet the citizens are the ones reaping the repercussions of it, the good ones. Having to have their homes filled with bullets. We try to do the right thing. My husband has a bullet in his leg for that. And you know what our fabulous DA told us when I asked him why we only got 9 months for each of us? 1 attempted murder. But if it was his porch they were standing on and firing at, it would have been 18 years. We didn't want meth manufactured next door. So us cooperating almost cost us our life. And you know what the DA said? You'll never know. So how reassuring is that?
Emily, I want to thank you for coming and speaking. This obviously is going to have to be an ongoing conversation. We can't address all these at this point, all the issues that you brought up. However, this group is in the business of doing that, and we're just now beginning to hear things from the community. So if you can leave, I guess, Nikki, you have contact information. So maybe we can follow up and get more specifics and begin to pursue some of your concerns, as many as possible.
I appreciate listening and stuff, because it's honestly, it affects everybody. Not just us, because we're in the hood. I'm from Johnson County with 2 college degrees. I lived out here because my son got recruited to go to Sumner and then to KU. I made that choice for him. I didn't make that choice to have my life taken.
Well, we're glad you're here, and we're glad you came today to speak and to share. So we'll continue to work on that.
I have a question I'd like to ask the lady. Do you have a neighborhood watch in your area?
I don't know. Nobody around there really wants anything to do with anything or help. So it's like, we're kind of on our own, really. There's really nobody that cares.
You might try contacting some of the neighbors in the neighborhood.
This neighborhood, there probably won't be any.
Yeah.
You never know.
You're in the Kensington neighborhood area, and Donnie Thomas is the president of that group.
Okay.
So if you're interested.
And we have,
Get hold of that.
and we have a lot of things that we are doing in your neighborhood. I can't tell you some of the stuff, but that's one of the reasons why we were out there last night. We have identified a couple houses in that neighborhood that we are working. And you have a community policing officer assigned to your neighborhood.
Mhm.
And if you leave me your name and number, I will have them get in contact with you. But you mentioned the problem that we're having is, and if you're a neighbor that wants to work with us, then we welcome that. But that's the problem we're having. A lot of people in the neighborhood don't want to give us information. And so, like on the shooting, one of the reasons why we did take some of those shell casings, because what I've done is brought a lot of technology here to KCK. So there's ways we can tie those shell casings into other crimes, because unfortunately, to your point, shooting a gun in the air is not going to get anyone much time. And I agree with that. So that's why we try to use, if we can get those shell casings and tie those casings into other crimes, then we can prosecute them and get a case that we can really give them some time versus just discharging a firearm in city limits.
Yeah, they were aiming.
Yeah.
But it's the point of they're still laying on the ground and these kids are walking by. That's not something any kid should, and if we could prevent that, that'd be great. That'd be, you know what I mean?
some great ideas here to try to connect with the Kensington Neighborhood Group, try to get some support there. The chief is asking for your contact so that we can
Yeah, you can have it.
follow up with that. So moving in the right direction, hopefully, on this.
I just figure if, people work together a little more. Cause it's not just, and it's not personal, because there's people, like I said, in every line of business that are bad, that don't care. And unfortunately, sometimes the aspect that we see and the projection they give off is just so nonchalant that people take it as they don't care.
Mhm.
And when you tell them repeatedly, somebody is gonna come back and try to kill you and they don't listen, and then what happens? You know what I mean? It's very disheartening.
Yep. Very good. Khadijah, you have your hand up still?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions for Chief Oakman. And one, it starts with the carjacking. And, my understanding is that there was a Kansas City, Missouri police officer involved. So I want to know if this carjacking was on the Missouri side and this car was found on the Kansas side. Was it occupied as a carjacking, or was it a car that was stolen from a location with no occupants in it? Was there a chase with the car? I mean, how did the call come in about a stolen vehicle and this man who just happened to be unconscious in his car end up getting shot? And the second thing, is it always protocol for the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department to come in and investigate Wyandotte County's police departments shootings, especially seeing that you just came from over there? Can you answer those questions for me, please?
Well, I can't go into the shooting because that's under investigation. But there was no carjacking involved, and I don't know where that information came from.
I'm just asking.
Like I said, there was nothing involving the carjacking. This was, the officer was there investigating a stolen auto that had fled from officers earlier, and they located the vehicle parked in the street. So that's what they were investigating when they came up on that individual. And I'm not gonna go into any more details because I can't, because it's under investigation. We have been, and as far as the outside investigators, KCK has been investigating their own police shootings. So we tried to work with several regional agencies to investigate the shootings for us, so we're not involved. And KCMO was the best option of what was available. The DA, Gene Peters Baker, as well as Clay County and Platte County, all agreed, as well as the Attorney General for Kansas, as well as the DA Dupree, and also the union on both sides.
So the FOP, the DA, who has nothing to do with cases on the Kansas side, all of
the Kansas DA Dupree, who handles Wyandotte County, agreed.
Well, you just mentioned Gene Peters Baker.
I said that, yes, because it was an agreement, so
I'm just making sure I'm clear. You all made a decision to have Kansas City Police Department come in and investigate Wyandotte County shootings by your police officers. Is that correct? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Khadijah. Laura, Pastor Thompson.
I was gonna say, when was that decision made? I thought a while ago that the Kansas Highway Patrol or Johnson County was originally supposed to investigate KCK PD involved shooting.
Pastor Thompson, we had a discussion about that in this group. Chief Oakman presented on it in maybe July. I think it was July that Chief Oakman presented that to us, and some questions were asked at that point. But I think then it went to the unified government for approval, to the commission for approval. So it is an approved action at this point from the commission.
Thank you.
Any other?
I have
Yes.
to go. So.
Yes. Any other quick questions for the chief? He needs to go. All right. Thank you, chief. Back to the agenda. You should have all received your minutes from Paul. The minutes were pretty limited this time he shared because his recorder wasn't working. We do, however, now have the Zoom recordings of these meetings, so that will help us if we need to reconstruct those minutes at some point. So next up is the outreach team report. As you know, we appointed an outreach team about, I don't know, 4 months ago, 3 months ago. And they've been working on ideas to get out in the community to hear more. That team consists of Irene and Kendall and Dwayne, and Brian has been sitting in on that as well as a community rep. So I'm going to turn it over to Irene, who is going to share this plan. Y'all have copies of the plan, proposed plan in front of you. So Irene, they have copies, and Dwayne and Kendall, you're welcome to chime in there for any other information that you want to add. So
Yes.
Irene?
Please do. Please, anyone that has been working with us, jump in. I do want to say, Reverend, you've also been in these meetings, so we appreciate your guidance as well. So I think not uncommon of what you heard in regard to how we build the opportunity to really be good listeners, and our thought was be intentional with a listening tour and go to and where the community resides, in particular places that we could listen, build trust for ongoing communication. That's really the goal. So our schedule for next year should be in a lot of ways on everyone's calendar, meaning the what are we in the second Tuesday of the month at 4 o'clock?
Wednesday. Second Wednesday.
I'm sorry, Wednesday. I don't, that shows you where I am today. Okay. The second Wednesday of the month is our 4 o'clock is our typical meeting. So we thought that the best way to kind of plan ahead and think of the way we would value these intentional sessions, as you can see on, so those that virtually don't have a copy, Reverend?
That's right, they don't.
Oh, okay. Well, so if we know that that's the typical calendar for this group to meet, what we thought were the months of February, April, June, August, and November, we would move those to actual evening meetings that would start at 6 o'clock. And we would actually merge two of I guess districts that were connected in listening sessions, and so for January we would plan the listening session. February we would look at districts 1 and 2. April we would look at districts 3 and 6. June we would look at districts 4 and 8. And August would be districts 5 and 7. And then the idea would be, so the other months would be the regular meetings with some intention of planning, reflecting and planning as well. But the proposed outreach plan is that it would be the 4 listening session combining 2 neighboring commission districts. The agenda would really be around listening. We would introduce the background of this group, what the goal is, who we are, why we exist. We would ask for testimony, like you heard today. We would ask for people to come, and we want to also be, very vigilant in regard to how we record and address, because we know some might be very immediate. but about an hour and a half, locations in the community. But we also talked about a survey being developed for a continuous opportunity to garner information as people hopefully garner our trust, or we can build trust. And one of the things that that's important for all of this is that we want our community to share and to be as comfortable as sharing as possible. So what we're recommending is that really there be no law enforcement officers in the listening session, but recommend that they kind of that they don't be a part of these sessions. But anything that might be immediate, we can work on with staff and enforcement. But a report November 8th, or at least opening the opportunity to present what we learned to the sheriff and chief, and then eventually also the commissioners, right? And the commissioners play an important part of this because we want those commissioners there. We think it's very important that the commissioners be there. We also hope that those of you that are appointed by each of these commissioners contact them right away and get this on their calendar, so that we will know that we have their attendance. Again, just as a opportunity to listen as well. I think that's it. Did I miss anything, group?
Dwayne, Kendall, anything to add, Brian?
Trying to think what else.
I would just add that I think there's going to be a lot of logistic kind of planning going on in this. So obviously January is not going to be our January meeting is not going to be our only time to plan. I think the outreach team will be doing some planning between now and then to try to make sure we have locations, that the commissioners are on board, that the dates work, all those things. Brian is talking about maybe doing some video testimonies, like getting some ahead of time, maybe to share at the meeting. Other kinds of ways to engage with different media.
Doing different presentations, allowing people who may not be able to attend to still share their stories, as well as putting together PowerPoints and other video aspects for background, the LEAB.
I think the survey is a really important piece to this because not everybody's going to be able to make Wednesday night meetings, and the survey will then also give us some a broader base of data from which to think about as we do our work. So
I think we could also, we'd like to have input from all the other members of this board for inclusions on that survey.
Yeah, board members are going to be really important to help with their commissioner, with some logistics, because if you're appointed from a commissioner, you live in that area, opportunity to help spread the word. I think what we hope is that not only do you participate by being there and listening, but that you also kind of give us some guidance in each of those sessions if they're if the district is where you live and your commissioner appointed you.
I see the request on Zoom to enable transcription for the meeting. I don't know if that's possible for us here at this computer. We don't have anybody here that's monitoring Zoom for us. So I don't know if that's something that can be done, if anybody's listening who's monitoring. So sorry about that. Any input from the rest of you regarding this plan? Do you think it's something that will work? Any concerns, questions, further ideas?
I had a question. Is there a deadline that would be best for
Is your
us?
mic?
to-
Yes, it is.
Is there a deadline that would be best for us to reach out to our commissioners to get like a confirmation that this day works well for them? Do we want that by the end of the year or
I would say we need it sooner than that, like by
the
our
next
by
meeting?
December 14th.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. As soon as you can get that done, I think that's very important.
How do you envision the at-large commissioners playing a role in these tours?
You know, that's.
And my thought would be that they would be invited to all of the meetings and we try to get a commitment from them to be at least to one of the meetings.
Yeah, because I believe each of them are responsible for 4 districts apiece.
Yeah.
So maybe kind of hairy because we kind of did neighboring a district, so it may cause them to have to be at all 8 of them. All 4 of them. But just a thought.
Yeah, I hope it piques their interest enough to want to come to at least one, because they wouldn't have to come to 4. Oh, wait, the way we divided it up, I see what you're saying. Did we divide it up? Okay. I thought they would have had to come to 2.
Well, this is not set in stone, right, Irene? We could change this
Yeah,
if
we could
there's
look
a
at
more
that.
sensible way to do that.
Let's look at that, because technically, yeah, if they have to come to 2 to meet their 4, right? Better than them having to come to 4, which I now realize, LaRon, I see your point. Okay, well, then that throws a wrench in asking them right away, Reverend. Okay, all
Well,
right.
but we
well,
could figure this out. We could
take
figure
a
this out in a couple days and communicate
Yeah,
and make
we'll
sure
take a
that, yeah. Other questions, concerns, ideas, response?
I think it's a great idea.
So shall we move ahead with the plan then? I'm seeing anybody opposed to moving ahead with this plan.
I move that we move forward with this plan from the outreach committee.
Is there a second? If we're gonna, let's do Robert's rules. Is there a second?
I second.
Is there further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign?
Aye.
All right, I assume that was an aye for in favor. Is anyone opposed? All right, we'll move forward with that. Thank you, outreach team, for your work, and we will try to figure out that commissioner question within the next few days, and then you'll get an email, probably personal emails to you so that you can contact your commissioner and try to confirm dates with them. We may have to revisit the dates if if for some reason commissioners aren't available those dates, but hopefully we're far enough out that they'll be able to. Okay. Okay.
I mean, to me, easier.
Sure. Okay. It's a good recommendation. All right, well, let's move on with the agenda. Sheriff Soptic, do you have, well, wait a second. Are there any other questions, ideas, or community comments from anyone present? All right, moving on. Sheriff Soptic, do you have anything you want to report to us? Are we getting any more recruits? Reed sent out a legislative auditor's report. Could you tell us more about, I didn't read it. I'm sorry.
Didn't read it.
Can you tell us what it was about and summarize it?
couple of weeks ago, the auditor's office issued a report on the offender registration unit, which is a small program within the sheriff's department, required by statute to register violent sex and drug offenders, as so determined by the court. We reviewed the process that there's a fee involved. And so we monitored or reviewed the cash handling aspects of that. The office, it's a small office on the mezzanine of the courthouse. Really, it also, the offender registration unit also handles fingerprinting and concealed carry permits in that same location. But we were focused on the offender registration, which is the largest of those three. We reviewed the cash handling aspects, and then we also reviewed the compliance with the statute, the process of registering people and so on and so forth. And so we issued that report last month. It's, I guess the overview of the program is that it's like everything else. They've got one full-time person. They probably should have. They have 2 vacancies. Same kind of the same story that you hear all across the unified government. So they rely a lot heavily on one person, which is not always the best plan. But the report there was nothing earth shattering about the recommendations that we made. They working through some issues that have occurred during the pandemic and different equipment, but all in all, like I said, there was nothing drastic or nothing too surprising, I think, about the report or about the program. And our next audit is underway. We're in the planning of property disposal in as it relates to firearms in the police department. So that's an audit that we're moving towards next. So that's to make sure everybody, again, if you did not receive a copy of the report, make sure you give me your email address or any of the other correspondence that I send out from time to time. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to take.
Any questions for Reed? Thank you, Reed. All right. Could we possibly be getting done 18 minutes early? Is there any other business, anything anybody wants to share? Any questions, comments?
I do have something I'd like to share, Chairman.
Please go ahead.
Certainly, I am glad to be back with this board. It's been a while since I've been able to participate in a meeting. I've lost a very special lady to me on May the 1st, and I've been trying to adjust ever since. And dealing and coping with grief has been a bit challenging, but I'm ready to step back up to the plate and fulfill my role and responsibility to serve the citizenry of Wyandotte County as I've been appointed to do. So thank you so much for having me back.
Well, thank you, Pastor Thompson, for sharing that. And our prayers are with you as you continue to deal with grief. Grief is something that lasts forever, never goes away, but we learn to move on and keep going with that person still in our hearts. So we're praying for you and glad you're back. We missed you.
Can I jump in, Reverend, and
Please.
welcome back, Ron, and we definitely have been thinking about you. And just because I am trying to figure out this map and have been thinking about this since LaRon brought this up, is it better to do 1 and 4, 5 and 8, 2 and 3, and 6 and 7? Now those are pretty big. I mean, in other words, some of them are pretty big. I can see where you matched up before and we took a look at it. But it helps the at-large commissioner, I think, if I got this right, but I don't. I'm just trying to get someone in the room that might know the map a lot better than I do and the commissioners.
I believe at-large 1 is responsible for all of the odd districts. And at-large 2 is responsible for all of the even districts, if I remember.
Oh, I thought it was like based on the, one half top, one half bottom. Oh, that's why I did that. Okay.
And I may be wrong, so don't quote me.
Okay.
That large one is north of I-70.
Mhm.
and that,
Yeah, so it is north and
two.
south, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so too. I thought it was just split right down the middle, which is why we kind of mixed it up a little with north and south. But I think if we do it this way, 1 and 4, 5 and 8, 2, 3, 6 and 7, it gets them to no more than 2. But pushing them to hopefully go to the both of them. Does that sound okay?
Irene,
Yeah.
3 and 6 are Turner and Argentine. So if you put those two together, they're fairly used to the going to the same place.
But then I'd have to think about 2 and 7 being together, which aren't in the same place. You see what I mean? Somehow we got to match those up north and south. And I get it, don't get me wrong, which is why we originally had 3 and 6 on our calendar. But if we do 3 and 6 and we look at large, the other 2 would be 2 and 7. Am I correct on that? Trying to look at this map. All right, well, yeah, it is 2 and 7. So I don't want to take a lot of time. I just wanted someone to just help me wrap around that, but I'm gonna tell you, yeah, we need to take a look at this.
Okay, well,
The other thing we brought up was business cards and a handout for the listening tour.
I think the other piece of this that we haven't talked about, and we didn't talk about it in the committee, was getting the mayor's office involved to help, and maybe they can help with some of those incidental things that we need, like those flyers and business cards and doing that printing for us. We do need to connect with, I did have a brief conversation with Dr. Mildred, what's Mildred's last name? Edwards, Dr. Edwards today, but it was a one-way conversation, me sending her an email. So I've got to follow up with that. And I think the mayor's office needs to be very aware of this plan and sign on to it as well. So. All right, anything else anybody wants to share before we close this meeting out? Yes.
Now the listening tour meetings.
We can't hear who's ever talking.
Apologize. The listening tour meetings in the districts, are the meetings gonna be in the districts, or are they gonna be where?
The idea is that they would be in one of the 2 districts, and the idea initially was that they're neighboring districts so that it would be close to both districts. It would be
Okay.
close. So that was the initial plan. I don't know how the
Then eventually we'll find out where everybody's gonna be.
yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I would like to add that I was 15 minutes late, but I am present.
I'm sure that Paul has you down. as president.
All right. Hey, I just want to make sure. Hey,
I love that.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Khadijah.
When will the recording of this meeting be available for public viewing?
That's a question that I don't know that anyone in this room has an answer to. Reed, do you have an answer for that?
No, I think earlier our last month, there was a request. The recordings was requested through the mayor's office as a open records request.
Is it
Later
something-
on, minutes will be posted to the website and that'll be available for everybody. But to my knowledge, it's not routinely posted to YouTube or anything like that, like the other meetings, like.
So is it something that normally you have to file an open records request for, or is it something that can be sent to me from one of you guys once you have it complete?
Well, this is only the second meeting we've had in this room, so I can't say that there is a procedure, but the first meeting we had, there was an open records request, and to my knowledge, they received a copy of the recording. So at this point, that's the only procedure that I'm aware of.
It would seem that because this is an advisory board for the community, that it would be available for the community. I remember Mayor Alvey had, a resource advisory group like this before, and he made those available to the community. I'm just asking you guys to do the same without having the community have to jump through hoops in order to do that. This is not a meeting that seems to be private, so therefore.
No, it's absolutely, Khadijah. I'm in full agreement with you that these recordings of these meetings should be available to the community, and you shouldn't have to go through COMA requests to get these meetings. So I think we're going to work on that. We're, like Reed said, we're trying to figure this out as we go. I know that, go ahead, Khadijah.
But I would hope with the mayor sitting there that he would make that available to anybody that wanted it without having to jump through those hoops. If the mayor could do that, that would be great. I mean, I think he's the top official right there right now. And
Yeah, he's not with us. He's not in this meeting, Khadijah.
Oh, okay. Well, at any rate, I
but
think you should buy the mayor.
I think you're absolutely right. And I don't think anybody in this room would disagree with you that these meetings, there's no reason that they shouldn't be readily available to everybody. They're an open meeting also. Everybody can come, as evidenced by you being here on Zoom and other people from the community being here. And if it's an open meeting, then it should be available to people. So absolutely, I think we just need to figure out what that process is and make it happen. So.
Yeah. And
Well, I'll just help you out. I'm going to give the mayor a call myself, but on your end, if you do what's necessary, I think we can make that happen without having the community have to jump through hoops. And then when that's done, can you make sure Nikki get a copy of this meeting and the first one?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, absolutely. Pastor Thompson, were you?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and let me commend this board for even opening it up to the public. When I first came on board, that was not an option seemingly. And so I think we've made progress in this year by even allowing the community to come into the meeting. And I definitely agree with what Khadijah is saying. And we're doing our due diligence to try to make these meetings accessible to the community, because we're here to represent the community. And so I agree with you, Khadijah, but I do want to give credit where credit is due for our work so far.
Absolutely, because you have a shining star sitting right there, Nikki. My hat's off to you, baby. Anyway, thanks,
Khadijah.
I appreciate it.
All right.
All right, one more thing. We talked about flyers and cards, right? At the Piper, the last Piper event, you had given me some flyers before. We had an event down on 7th Street, and I came down and got the flyers. Did anybody else get any of those by any chance that were on? Well, those worked out really, really well. I handed them all out. What the flyer said, I explained to them too, and let everyone know that the meetings, then I go watch the public and everything. It's the weirdest thing. I gave out all of them. But they made it so messy, without all the
Kim, could you mute?
Salt and pepper a little better, but it is.
To that point, that is something not I've been trying to work on as well, getting some flyers and also
Kim?
having something to post on social media.
So all those flyers, they worked out pretty good, the one that you gave me.
Good.
I think they were excellent, so I got rid of all of them but one. I kept one just in case, you know.
All right.
So it worked out, and I think those will work unless you just felt like we needed something more colorful or something, but they were perfect.
Very good. All right. Anything else anybody wants to share?
I do want to apologize right now because I'm on the phone because I'm in Portland. So I'm so sorry because I didn't know that my cheek had unmuted me.
That's
So
all
I'm sorry.
right. We're glad you joined us all the way from Portland. You get the most traveled award today. Thank you, Kim. All right, well, if there isn't anything else, then let's adjourn the meeting and we will come back on December 14th. But in the meantime, we'll get further information about these planned meetings in 2023 and hopefully get those dates confirmed with the commissioners. Okay? Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, Lauren.
Okay, we got, who was that on iPhone 2?
Khadijah Hardaway. Khadijah, let me just see. I think I can spell it. I think it's.
Fellas?
Yep.
See you later.
I think let me just double check. I know I have her name here somewhere.
And the L that was over there was Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas.
Hey, brother.
See you. Sharon. How you doing? Doing? Yeah. Yep. All right, we'll see you later. Yeah, the Lucas was Lucas Behrens. He's my son. Yeah, Lucas. Yeah.
Bye, Rick. Good night.
You too. Yeah, it's Khadijah. Hardaway. And I didn't get her last name, the gal. I just know her first name is Emily. The gal who was here who spoke.
Oh, I was trying to.
I think she's.
Catch Nikki.
Oh, yeah, she would have it.
has
She
it.
would have it, yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's go catch. Okay.
Turn microphone.